Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Unorthodox Vegan. My name is Sean Gold, and today, episode 31, we'll be making peanut butter cookies. I've made some other cookies before. I haven't made peanut butter cookies. I'm using a recipe from Nora Cooks, which is one of my favorite vegan recipe makers. So we'll be using that. Now, she insists that this recipe is a one bowl recipe. We'll check it out and see if it works. Be back in a minute once I set up. I've got everything set up now. I put in, let's see, half a cup of, let's make sure I got that right, 3/4 of a cup of peanut butter, half a cup of coconut oil. Now the recipe calls for vegan butter, but I don't have vegan butter, so I put in coconut oil. And I put in a half cup each of brown sugar and regular white granulated sugar. So that's what I've got here in the bowl. And what I'm going to do is, because this is supposed to be a one bowl mixture, as I will be just creaming this all together. That is the sugar and the coconut oil or vegan butter and the peanut butter. So I'll just be creaming it together, just doing this by hand. It should all be easy enough to do, and it's just mixing it in there. And I'm not going to bore you with having to watch that. I will just do that over the next few minutes and then get ready for the next step. Well, I have creamed together the coconut oil, the peanut butter, the brown sugar, and the white sugar. So that's done there. I'm now going to be putting in 1¼ cups of all-purpose flour. Getting that in there. And making sure I get that all in. I'll be putting in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And I will be putting in, let's see, half a teaspoon, I believe, of baking powder. Let's get the half teaspoon. Half teaspoon of baking powder. I think it's 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. Let's get that. That would be a half, and get a 1/4 in there. All right, let's see. Baking powder, baking soda, cornstarch, and flour. Oh, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'll just do that by, whoops, a little much. There we go. All right, so now I'll be mixing that in again using just a regular spoon, just working that around, getting it all creamed together. Be back in a minute. Well, as often happens, I sometimes miss something in the instructions in the recipe, and I did miss adding in 2 tablespoons of, it says almond milk, but I'm using, I don't do almond milk very often. I'm putting in oat milk, and it's the vanilla flavored oat milk that my wife loves. So I'm putting in 2 tablespoons of that, and I'll be adding in, I believe, let's see, how much vanilla. Make sure I get that right. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. All right, let's get that set up. Put in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then I'll be continuing to mix this up. There we go. There we go. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And because that oat milk has a little bit of vanilla in it, it will also have a little bit of flavor from that. Okay, I will be mixing this up and get back to you in just a couple of minutes. Okay, as you can see, I have already started making a couple of balls. Now what I've done is just already mixed up all of the stuff, made sure it's all mixed in nicely, just taking off enough to get the right size of balls. I like these cookies. I like them to be a little bit smaller, just so you can have a nice little snack. My wife likes a smaller snack. And what I'm just doing is putting the ball onto the cookie sheet and putting in a crisscross pattern on it to give it that little classic look. And that's all I'm doing here. Now I am using coconut oil rather than using vegan butter. And I find that if you're using coconut oil or versus using the vegan butter or even vegan margarine, is that the coconut oil tends to hold its shape, so you can really have to push it down and flatten if you want them to flatten out a bit. Whereas if you use vegan butter or using vegan margarine, they tend to collapse on their own. So just bearing that in mind, don't assume that these things will collapse. And I like the shape of them right now, so that's probably what's going to hold, and they're not going to spread out too much. So that's what we'll be doing. So I can put them fairly close together, I think, as I'm making them. And I won't make you watch all of this. I will be done this in a few minutes and be back before we put them in the oven. Oh, by the way, don't forget to turn your oven on. Please turn your oven on. I just got it preheating right now, 350 degrees. And we'll be back when I finish doing this before we put them in the oven. I've shaped the cookies, got them all ready to go into the oven. The alarm went off saying that the oven is up to temperature. So let's pop these guys into the oven right now. And we'll be cooking them for, they hit about 12 minutes. The alarm just went off, so it must be time to take those cookies out of the oven. Let's take a look and see how they're doing. Oh, they look lovely. And let's turn that oven off. Now I'm going to let these cool down on a cookie tray for a bit, and then we'll do a taste test. Back in a bit. Well, there we have it. That's our cookies. They don't look too bad. And they do need to cool down. They did need to cool down on the tray for about 5 minutes before because they were pretty soft. I actually smushed one up with my with the oven mitt. So anyway, let's going to pick one out here. I'm going to take this guy here. We're going to do a little taste test. I've let them cool down here for a little bit on the cooling rack after putting them on the keeping them on the cookie tray and then letting them cool down. But let's try this. So they still need to cool down a little bit more, but I want to do a taste test. Really nice and peanut buttery. Lovely flavor. Oh, I had to let that one come through. Delicious, absolutely delicious. They're a little crumbly right now, so I'm going to let them cool down even further because they're still warm. As they cool down, they get harder, all that stuff. But, oh, these are delicious. Oh, I like peanut butter. If you like peanut butter, great recipe. All right. Well, that's it for episode 31 of the Unorthodox Vegan. My name is Sean Gold. If you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me at my email address up here. That's vrcompanions@gmail.com. And please follow me on my YouTube channel. That's www.youtube.com/ @the_unorthodox_vegan/. I'm enjoying that. Okay, until next time, have yourself a great day. Bye for now.